wanted, if you know where Mount Etna is, I worked down there and I really wanted to get into the orchard, and he was ready to sell that orchard, and my brother and I were very interested in buying it. And then my dad decided, he asked me if I'd like to go in partnership with some of my brothers, one being Dale's dad, and I was very reluctant, and because I did not like dairying at all.
Yeah.
And he brought out one of PFA's head guys in a couple times and had meetings with us. I'm not quite sure what his name was, and eventually I made Dad a deal. I said, you can't grow fruit in South Annville, the soil's way too good. I said, you got to get back in North Annville where it's shale and poor soil. And I said, if you're really serious, you know, you need to buy a farm back there. And I really thought that would be the end of the discussion. Well, the next morning, Dad had us in a car, and we were driving around back here, and that eventually he came up with this farm, and it was a widow had owned it, and we drove in. She hadn't farmed it for a couple years because of the treatment of going by the half, and I'm not sure what all happened, but you know, when you grew up in South Annville, it was just different. And I just said, Dad, I said, I was still single, and I said, you really don't want me to even get married? I said, this place is awful. And he said, oh, we'll get a bulldozer and clean it up. And that's what he did, and they bought it, and I was in a partnership for a couple years, and then got out, and we got started in '79, and we basically developed it into a pick-your-own operation, which has really turned out well, for the simple reason it took us a while to get there. We had a small operation. Then when our girls, we have 4 girls, were about 10 years old. We planted a whole bunch of trees, anticipating by the time they were 16 and driving that they'd be able to help deliver. And that's about, as they came into driving, we had those little S10 pickups, and we would fill them with peaches a couple times and send one in this direction. We were picking about 250 baskets every day, and they'd deliver them to about 30 different roadside stands. You know, they all grew the vegetables, and we'd supply them with the peaches. And slowly we developed a pick your own, and this is one of the first years. We're almost 90. This block right here will open up on Saturday, and we need to have about probably 1,000 baskets just hanging in there, because that's how many they'll pick in one day.
Wow.
It's just incredible the amount of fruit that goes out of here. That is what is now the backbone, and it's kind of working out well for us, because the girls have all gone through college. They've earned their way through college, and now they have jobs, and they're not going to be here. So, you know, it's back to Mom and I, and it helps us to handle it. So, these are Madison. It's our last big peach that we grow, and all these you see are all empty. Each tree gives about 4 bushel, and we have approximately, between all our trees, about 5,000 trees on the farm now. One of the reasons we bought this farm was when on a topographical map, this hill right here is one of the highest hills in North Annville, which is what you need. And there's the farm's built on 3 hills, and basically when you take a orchard out of production, you got to let it rest for about 4 to 5 years to get all the it's like the old material out of the soil, or you get what they call a replant disease. So we developed, that hill's coming out and next, and we just developed that hill over here. They were talking about the Marcellus Shale. There's a natural gas pipeline runs across the farm here. Next year they're coming through, and over half these trees are going to all be torn out, and they're going to make a swath straight out through to the road, and it's going to take out about 1/4 of the trees we have on the farm. Would be the north side of the lane.
Do you get reimbursed for the
Yes,
loss of
yes.
crops?
Yeah, they treat you pretty good. It's just simply you build up a business, and this is the first time now that we're going to have to take a real hit, because we will not be able to supply the amount of peaches that we need. And to go out and buy them on the wholesale, it kind of leaves us in a problem, because you can't paste them on the trees. You know, the pick your own. So, but they do treat you well.
Well, how old are these trees, and how long does it what's the cycle?
A tree lasts 20 years. 5 years to come into commercial production, and then about 15 years of cropping. We're gonna go down here now and pull in, and then you're all gonna get these bags to go out, and we want you to pick about a peck in there, and then you take them home, and you'll see how well you did. That are too green or ripe, but you'll see those are really old trees. They start to break apart. Trees are like, I guess, like people. The younger the tree, the sweeter the fruit. And then as you get old, it gets more bland. And
How old are these? How old are these?
These here would be, I think they're in about their 17th, 16th, 17th year. It's about 110 trees to the acre.
And how many acres do you have?
It's about 50 acres that are in trees. Then we have beef cows that kind of keep the rest of the farm. And there is a trigger. God has built a trigger mechanism in these trees. If they're under a lot of stress, the last 3 years we've had dry June and beginning of July. And that is when they're really producing the crop. And if there's a lot of stress, we have come to realize there's going to be a low set. Out of 10 blooms, you might only get 2 that actually develop into peach. This year's been a very good, wetter year. We expect next year to get up in the 8, 9 per bloom. Because when they bloom, we come along with our finger and thumb, and we just strip off about half the blooms or a quarter of the blooms because it's so fast and so efficient. If you wait till June when they're on the trees and you got to go through there and start thinning them off by hand, it takes forever. Guessing game is if you thin off too many blooms in the spring, you come back in June and you just simply don't have a crop. 20 years ago, nobody thinned in the bloom. Today, everybody thins in the bloom. Real science of trying to figure out what that is.
You have a lot of droppings there. Is that all? That just typical, or is this all wasted, or?
No, on any tree, you see how small that one is?
Yeah.
For some reason, they don't mature, and they drop. Madison is just, the later in the season, the more they drop. We don't know why, but those will all fall off. And then some, like most farmers, we were hoping, we saw a pretty good crop, so we put on a little more urea, and we had a great rain, and we pushed them too hard, and it split the pits apart. Yes. Well, those are all going to drop too. You're always trying to, push the tree a little harder and get a little more out of it, and sometimes you got to just take a little bit of a hit for it.
Were you on through the irrigation or?
No, we actually. I just get one of the girls to drive, and we just put a big tub, and 2 of us had little scoops, and we just, it don't take too long.
Highly
but
technical.
you can, yeah, it's real technical. We start in about, February pruning, and we do all the pruning by ourselves. I mean, I really enjoyed it. We raised our family here, and
Really pretty.
Beautiful.
It's been a good living for us. About 1,000. We're really building up in cherries.
Okay.
And what we did was, we're trying to balance, we're kind of cutting down in the August peaches a little bit. So we're trying to get a clientele that comes in here in spring, gets started here with strawberries, stays with us through all the sweet cherries and the raspberries, and just kind of follows us through the whole year. I'd say 10 years ago, 80% of the people that we sold to that came in the lane were your conservative Mennonites, farm families, that they would all went for canning. Today, it has almost reversed itself. Huh. It's suburbia mom has just come out in just droves, and they are the backbone now of our business. All because of this. What we have found is this organic, know your farmer, grow local has really kicked in, and people are looking for somewhere not necessarily organic, but they go that route because they feel that they can trust it more. There has been a very effective
marketing campaign.
Scare tactic by some of your TV people that big business is going to poison your food.
Well, the stuff coming from overseas, you can't trust that. You don't know their laws.
Well, you don't. So, I mean, I don't want to really say, I don't know enough to say that, but it has definitely brought people out where they know, they come out, they look at the tree, they know us. One of the big things that we have stayed as a farm family, we do not hire any outside help to help us, so we don't have to get under worker protection standards. Most people prune a tree 1 pass. We do 3 passes. I go through first with a chainsaw and make maybe 5 cuts. Then I go back through with the loppers and make maybe 15 cuts. But the main bulk of it is done. We have probably we have electric battery operated shears, little handheld shears that my wife and my daughters operate, and they might make 100 cuts per tree. But if you just press a trigger and it just knocks off it's a lot of fine pruning in peaches. It's very labor intensive. But as a team, you know, we can go through almost 1.5 acres to 2 acres a day. It's very effective, but yes, maybe starting to do that summer topping. We do summer pruning. You can see what we do is we go in and these straight upright shoots, we'll cut them out to open up the tree, basically leave more sun in there, be able to push the treatments through the tree better, and it makes it much nicer to pick. We start them as bare root whips. They'll come through at it doesn't go by height, it goes by caliber, and we normally get a 1/2 inch to 5/8 inch caliber.
You buy them from a nursery?
Yeah, Adams County Nursery.
Oh.
Right, and we stick them in bare root, and it works pretty good.
They're just like a stick.
Yeah, and then they're about this tall. When you plant them, you cut them off right at your knee, get them down short so you have the tree stays low. And normally, by the end of the first year, you'll have it up. You know, maybe second year you should hit 8 foot. That is the biggest mistake people make. They leave it up and they get a very poor growing, spindly, whippy tree.